Legendary actress Maureen seems to be the queen of Christmas movies. She starred in The Miracle on 34th Street years ago, and she's back again in the movie The Christmas Box, which airs for the second time on CBS on Christmas night. And it's a pleasure to welcome you back after almost 1 year. Happy Christmas, and thanks for coming over to CBS.
Well, thank you, and happy Christmas for you.
Thank you.
I brought you a little gift.
Well, thank you.
Mistletoe.
Mistletoe, yeah.
And if you're very, very good, and the show is wonderful, I might give you what goes with the mistletoe at the end of the show.
I'll do the best I can. Thank you very kindly, ma'am. Appreciate that.
Do you know what goes with mistletoe?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I do.
And
I kind of like it. I understand that people ask you about me now and again.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I've been stopped in Washington, D.C. I've been stopped in Chicago. I've been stopped in the middle of the traffic in New York, where people grabbed me by the arm and they said, "Did he give you the bed yet?" And I said, no, he didn't.
For those who were not here the last time, I bought a home in New York City many, many years ago, and as it turns out, Miss O'Hara had loaned a bed to John Ford's daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
And she'd never given it back, and I bought the house from Miss Ford, and Maureen O'Hara's bed was there, and I sleep in it nightly now.
Well,
is there anything else you're missing that we can help you find?
Yes. There's something you're very successful in solving mysteries.
Yeah, right.
Including the mystery of my missing bed. But there is one mystery I wish you'd do a little work on and solve. I made a movie, not a very good one, but I made it, called Lady Godiva. And at the end of the movie, I posed for a Russian painter to paint, it was a magnificent portrait of me sitting on the horse, supposedly nude.
Adorned by your lovely hair.
That's right.
A picture of which is on the screens all over the world right now.
Really?
Yes, we have a photograph of said painting on the air right now.
Well, I posed for that painting for many days.
You posed well, may I add.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
From a real professional, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyway, Ed Mull, the head of the Universal Studios, gave me the painting as a gift. And I had it at home, and I was thrilled to have it. And then the studio called up, Ed Mull called and said, and could they please have it back for a couple of weeks? So I said, okay, fine.
Sure, fine.
I've never seen the painting since. I never got it back. I've begged. I've looked for it. Oh, but is it lying in a closet somewhere in that theater?
Or is it over somebody's mantelpiece in a lovely home in West Los Angeles, the home of a movie studio head or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or hanging in the bedroom of somebody called Mr. Schneider.
Oh, stop it. I don't have that kind of painting on my wall. Come on.
How do I know?
You can trust me. I do not have your painting. I've got your bed, but I don't have your painting.
Take a look when you go home tonight and let me know.
If it's there, I'll have a cat.
But, it could be at Universal Studios, just shoved in the prop department or somewhere, but I've never been able to get the painting back.
Put it up there on the screen one more time, Bryony. If anybody's seen this painting, please call us at CBS or drop us a line. And is there a reward of any kind attached to this?
I never thought of that.
Well,
it's very large. It's about that size and about this size. It's not a little tiny painting.
You know what's funny? You never know. I mean, somebody may be watching or listening.
Or they may say, oh, my gosh, that's lying in the manager's office at such and such a theater.
Yeah. Let me ask you about you as a kid in Dublin and your ambitions. Where did you want to go? What did you want to do when you were a little girl?
Well, when I was very little, I wanted to be a war nurse and save all these young boys' lives in the battlefield. And I was going to be Joan of Arc and be so brave. And also, I always fancied myself all dressed up with a mighty sword, and I thought that I was going to win every battle that needed to be won for the freedom of all the people. A sportsman and owned most of a very fine soccer team in Ireland called Shamrock Rovers.
Oh,
yes.
Really?
I was soccer mad.
So you went to the games a lot with Pop,
right?
I
went on Sunday, Wednesday, and Saturday.
And were you were an athlete?
different to a...
Is there anything Freudian there we should know about? Or?
No, no,
Okay.
no. It was just to whip a cigarette out of your mouth and toss it in the air and catch it.
You're kidding, really?
Oh, yeah. I was very good. No, I was a great sports fan, and I always wanted to be a boy. I didn't want to be a boy to be a boy.
Right,
I wanted to be a boy to be able to do all the wonderful things boys got to do.
What, and girls didn't get to do them then? Huh?
No. No, girls couldn't punch people out, and they couldn't box, and they couldn't fight, and they couldn't do judo, and they couldn't box the fox.
Which, okay, I'll bite. What's boxing the fox?
Robbing an orchard, an apple orchard.
Why would they call it boxing the fox? Who knows?
I don't know.
So
I really don't know.
So the boys would do what?
They'd get their sacks to rob all the apples. They'd climb over the wall or through the gates, and they'd pull all the apples off the tree, and then the old man or whoever owned the orchard would come out after them with a stick and ready to
get out of there, you kids,
jump over the wall and run with all the apples and eat them.
And you wanted to do that?
I wanted to box the fox.
What did they find so exhilarating about jumping over a fence and then getting chased out by an old geezer with a stick?
That's fun.
Mom.
I still think it would be fun. I'd love to box the fox. Maybe one of these days when I go home to Ireland in the summer, I'll arrange that I could box the fox.
If I ever own an orchard.
I can box your fox.
Your first,
okay.
right. When did you first come to the United States? Your first trip?
June or July of 1939, and arrived in New York on a 6-month permit to come and make The Hunchback of Notre Dame with Charles Laughton. And when I arrived in New York, I had the most extraordinary impression. New York to me was bald heads and billboards. And I've never forgotten it. And every time I go to New York, I never saw so many bald heads or so many billboards.
But coming to America the first time, did you anticipate like the Statue of Liberty coming?
No. Charles Laughton, I was under contract to Charles Laughton, and he was coming out to play the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And when we were arriving in the port of New York, he insisted that my mother and I look out the window to see what really thrilled him more than anything else in the world. He was very, very American, Laughton, and loved America. And he wanted me to look at the Statue of Liberty because he thought it was so magnificent. I was so miserable and so lonesome for my 5 brothers and sisters. All I could do was cry because I wanted to go home. I wanted to get right on the Queen Mary and go back. And years and years and years later, when Charlie Blair and I were married, we took a 4-engine seaplane from Australia all the way into Los Angeles, landed in Long Beach, and then went across the United States of America and landed at the Battery in New York.
Oh, sure, yeah, down south. Yeah.
Yes, and we had to go by
the
Statue of Liberty.
Yep, you sure would.
And I looked at her then, because I could have almost touched her, and it was such a thrill.
Yeah.
So I got the thrill that I was supposed to have got in 1939.
And this seaplane, was this the Pan Am?
No, it was a seaplane that Charlie had bought.
Oh, I see.
In Australia.
You know, I've never spoken to anybody who's taken the Pan Am Clippers. Remember the old Pan Am Clippers that flew from San Francisco to the Orient and they take off over the water?
Yeah.
That must have been wonderful.
Oh, well, I lived with seaplanes from the time I quit movies and moved to St. Croix. I lived with seaplanes all the time. Grumman gooses, mallards, albatrosses, and the big 4-engine seaplanes, the Sandringhams from Australia. They were originally Sunderlands, and they were had bombs under the wings, and they were submarine chasers.
And the reason you know so much about airplanes is you were the first woman to be president of an airline.
That's right, first woman in the United States to be president of an airline.
Isn't Albatross a rather unusual name for a plane? Yeah.
Well, no, all the seaplanes in those days, the first one was a little one for a hunter, was a widgeon, and then there was the goose, and then there was the mallard, and then there was the albatross. They were all named for birds because they were birds.
Yeah, okay. We're with Maureen O'Hara. How am I doing on this part of the deal so far?
Well, you're getting there.
Oh, okay, good.
You're getting there.
Maureen O'Hara stars in the Christmas box here on CBS on Christmas night. Back with Maureen and you on the toll-free at 800-952-2788 after this break. With Maureen O'Hara, here is Anya in Southampton, New York. Hello.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure. Happy holidays, Anya.
Thank you very much, and to you too. My question for Miss O'Hara is, I just wanted to know what your relationship was with John Wayne, because off-screen, because your chemistry on-screen was just electric.
Well, thank you. But we were very, very dear and very great friends, and I met him shortly after I arrived in the United States of America, and we remained dear and close friends until he died.
And your husband Charlie and he were great pals too. They used to fly around together all day, huh?
Yes,
Play
Charlie Blair and Duke were very, very close, and they played chess all the time. And when you asked them what did they want for dinner, they'd say steak. What do you want for dinner? Steak. What do you want for lunch? Steak. You got fed up asking them. And one...
I think John Wayne once said the West was not won on a salad and quiche.
But, oh, there are so many stories to tell about Duke.
Well, what about the time that you got hurt in The Quiet Man, which you made with him?
Oh, yes. John Ford, the director, who was a magnificent director.
But a stickler, I'm told.
Oh, an old devil.
Yeah.
And could be mean as hell. And he and Duke were really, really giving me hell all day long. And that afternoon, we had to do the scene of the first kiss in The Quiet Man, where Duke kissed me for the first time in the cottage when he arrived at his mother's cottage. And I was so furious. And I'm strong. And I decided I was going to break Duke's jaw. I was going to haul off and hit him and
really
break his
jaw.
Right? Oh, God,
well, you said
yes.
Since you're a little girl, you wanted to punch people. Here was your chance, right?
Oh, yes, and
God knows if you'd have had the whip, huh?
Yeah. Well, no, the whip wouldn't have done. But anyway, we did the scene, we did the kiss, and where I pulled back and I said, who gave you permission to be kissing me?
Right.
And I hauled off. And Duke was too smart for me. He saw it coming. And he put his hand up like that. And if you look at the film and can stop it on a TV set, you'll see it. It's right on the screen. And my hand snapped backwards off the top of his fingers.
Oh, man.
And the pain shot up my arm. I thought I was going to die. And I hid my hand in my petticoat, my red petticoat.
To finish the scene, right?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, no, not to give in and let them see that I'd hurt myself.
Okay.
My God, you never gave in to those two. And my fingers blew up like balloons. And Duke finally came over to me. He said, you really hit me. Let me see your hand. And he looked at it, and it was then a mess. And they took me over to the hospital in the valley and discovered that I had not a fracture, but a hairline thing of a
like
bone
a
in my
wrist,
like wrist. Yeah. But do you think they let me have a day off?
No.
No, I went back to the studio and continued to work.
Yeah, nowadays, they'd take 2 weeks off, you know, and they'd send flowers to the house every day. Not then, though.
Not in my day.
Anyway, Anya, I'm glad you called, and have a great holiday season, okay?
Thank you so much. It's an honor to speak to both of you.
Have
a
holiday.
Merry Christmas, Anya.
Thanks,
Merry
young lady.
Christmas. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And then in The Foxes of Harrow, you had another incident where you hurt yourself. Didn't something...
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. I'm glad you reminded me. In that, the director was John Stahl, and a 1.5-ton camera rolled over and stopped on my foot.
Oh, man.
And I screamed and said, oh. And the director saw it, and he was an old gentleman, and he put his hand to his chest, and he started moaning and groaning, and everybody thought he was having a heart attack, and I'm yelling, it's me, it's me, it's me. And they rolled finally rolled the
Get
camera.
the camera off your foot, yeah.
They did, and they took me to St. John's Hospital. And I must have feet made of rubber.
Oh, you're kidding. Nothing busted, huh?
Nothing.
Any days off for that?
No. What happened then was they took me right back to the studio from St. John's Hospital. They were big, voluminous skirts because it was a period piece. And they put a stool under my petticoats.
Oh, so you could sit.
I sat on the stool, so I took the weight off my foot, and we continued work all day long.
Yep, keep working. You see, time is money, huh? Time is money.
It was in those days.
Yep, still is, but people don't respect it now as they did then.
Oh, we did. We respected
and then the last one where you hurt yourself that I'll ask you about, you were making a picture with Jackie Gleason, but I don't know which one. You were working with Gleason on something.
Yes, I was working with Jackie Gleason, a picture in Miami. And Jackie, I think, will forgive me. Forgive me, Jackie.
Probably up there having one now.
That's true. And we were working late at night, and Jackie imbibed a little too much and got drunk. And he fell on a wire netting mat on top of my hand. And my hand was very, very badly hurt, my right hand.
I'm smiling because I remember, you know, for a large man, he was very agile. Remember, he'd do all that dancing around and stuff, very agile. And I remember one night on CBS in the 50s, he had this wonderful show on Saturday or Sunday nights. And he actually, while dancing off stage, fell and broke his ankle on live television. He, you know, he hit a wire on the floor or something and hurt himself very, very badly.
Well, did he keep going?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
That sounds like Jackie.
And he came back the next week, you know, with it all on a cast and crutches and everything, and said, you know, he said, I was sober as a judge, but I really took a header.
Sober as a judge. What kind of a judge, and where was the judge from?
You know who was here the other night was our friend Roddy McDowell, who was in How Green Was My Valley, which you made for John
Roddy
Ford.
Is still one of my best friends.
Oh, isn't he a wonderful, what a classy guy this guy is, like yourself, the last of class Hollywood. You know, no gossip and no nonsense and no tawdry stuff with Roddy. He's just a dear, dear man.
He's a wonderful, wonderful person.
But on the set, he was a little kid then, wasn't he?
Yeah. No, there's not too many years between us, but Roddy, I'm very proud to say, his father was a Scots seaman, and his mother was Irish. So he's got two of the best Celtic bloods in him.
Back with Maureen O'Hara, and we'll talk about The Christmas Box and a prequel to that play, which is called Timepiece, which airs here on CBS on the 22nd of December. That and you on the toll-free as time permits right after this break.